Many people think you must be paranoid if you carry a gun every day. However, I would respond by saying, is it paranoid to wear a seatbelt every time you drive in a car? No. If you take safety seriously, you wear a seatbelt every day, not just when you get on the highway, and you probably don't even think about it. But I would still say firearm training is just as important as defensive driving. In today's video, we'll talk about why a firearm actually makes sense for most people and why the Bible and the Constitution actually support this. Have you ever heard the saying that a firearm is the great equalizer? Well, before firearms, most weapons required lots of strength and decades of training to become proficient with, like swords and archery. This was especially dangerous for women who are on average physically weaker than men and could be overpowered by most men even if they had a weapon. Also, a sword wound is much more brutal than a gunshot, but firearms require little strength and much less training for defensive uses. An untrained, barricaded woman with a gun would take an entire SWAT team to defeat.
Fuck SWAT. That's what I say. Fuck SWAT.
I'm surprised many feminists rely on the male dominated police force rather than on their own ability for self defense. Some people think self defense conflicts with the law and their religion, but Jesus actually told his disciples when he was about to go to the cross. But now, he said, take your money in a traveler's bag, and if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Luke 22:36. Jesus knew the world would now hate his followers, and that they would have to defend themselves. Now, there is a distinction between stopping immediate violence with force and taking vengeance for a past crime, which vengeance, the Bible says, belongs to the Lord only. But striking a fatal blow to, say, a nighttime intruder was not seen as a crime according to the law of Moses. If you live in the United States, the Second Amendment of the Constitution says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If we look at the auxiliary writings of the founders, the militia refers to all able-bodied citizens and specifically excludes the formal military.
I ask, sir, what is the militia? It is the whole people except for a few public officials.
The Supreme Court case, District of Columbia v. Heller, reinforces this individual right. It was also about preventing a tyrannical government like the Nazis from taking over, and not about hunting. Government regulation did not exist really until the 30s. This definition of well-regulated actually meant well-functioning or well-equipped or armed. Why would people who just fought a revolution trust another government to regulate arms? If this actually meant government regulation, there would have been no need for the amendment to begin with, as all the others limit government power, not give it. However, there's other videos that go into this topic. Supporting the Second Amendment is often correlated with right-wing paramilitaries, but really, all sides of the aisle should support the right to bear arms. Especially after COVID, we have seen a rise in left-wing firearm supporters with groups such as Pink Pistols and Black Guns Matter. Coincidentally, some of the first gun control was because of fear of freed slaves and later fear of the Black Panthers. Ironically, passed by Ronald Reagan, who's portrayed by old school Republicans as pro gun. If a neo fascist regime is as big of a concern as some on the left believe, they would support an armed citizenry. On this channel, we'll do our best to focus on gun rights only and call out both sides of the aisle when they infringe upon them. If you choose to carry a firearm, you have to be on your best behavior. You're no longer able to get angry at the things you used to and maybe try to square up on someone. You now have a deadly weapon, and if someone sees that, they may fear that you can actually kill them, and that would actually give them the ability, if they were carrying a firearm, to be justified in shooting you. So you don't get to scare people and have road rage with your firearm, especially if you're open carrying. You can't walk in and be mean to the lady at Wendy's because she messed up your order, because they may see that firearm on your hip and may call the police thinking you're going to attack them. It's a responsibility that you got to have thick skin. Now, if you've done the groundwork and feel ready, see our videos about how to choose the right firearm for you. And remember, be prepared, not scared.